Hey everyone, this is Pastor Chris with Prison Reformers Ministries Daily Message. It comes from 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 7 and 8. For God did not call us to be impure, but to live a holy life. Therefore, anyone who rejects this instruction does not reject a human being, but God, the very God who gives you his Holy Spirit. Pursuing holiness. It is true that we are fully and completely sanctified, made holy in Jesus. It is equally true that God calls us to work out that sanctification in the way that we live our lives. It is working out practically what God has already worked into us. In Thessalonians, pursuing holiness means living a life worthy of God by the power of the Holy Spirit, always remembering that you are called into his kingdom and glory. Live in holiness, for to this God has called you. Remember that God has given you his Holy Spirit. His power is in you. Draw on it. That's why it's so important, from what I talked about yesterday about blasphemy. Once you've been saved and you become a believer and then you reject God, it is far worse for someone that has been saved to backslide than it is for a non-believer that has never been saved. Because a believer is going to be judged much harder when they go to heaven for their non-belief or for their backsliding than it is for an unbeliever that has been saved and then dies. It's all over the Bible, and we talk about it. Because when you start rejecting the Holy Spirit, you're turning your back on God, and that's where blasphemy, the unforgivable sin, comes into play. It's when you can completely start committing a sin and know it's wrong and hear that little voice. You're rejecting the Holy Spirit of God because you've already accepted it when you accept Jesus Christ. So you are to quit living an impure life. You cannot keep putting man version of everything into the Bible to compromise what the true word says. Because then you're letting Satan in your life, and you're letting Satan also try to change the word. You cannot compromise the Bible. You cannot believe that it's okay for a human being to decide what gender they're going to be. You're born that way, and there's a reason, there's a purpose. God has a purpose and plan for all of us. And that's why it's impurity. Your sexual immorality is one of the hardest sins that you're going to be judged by God, not by Jesus. Because that sin is against the body, and it makes you very impure. I hope everybody has a blessed day today, and may God bless you today.